Okay, so again, thank you for doing this. And, we've continued to pray for you and your family during this time, especially under, the circumstances.
Yes, thank you.
And so where we want to start first is just kind of from the beginning. When do you all know that they left Lubbock to come to Panhandle? Just like what y'all did there, while
Yeah,
they were visiting you first to start.
sure. Well, we had our family Thanksgiving planned, and between most of our my mother-in-law, Barbara, also named Barbara Scheller, is in Panhandle, and her husband are elderly as well. And so Linda and Gary, if they're, if they come to our family Thanksgiving, it's usually, they come up to Panhandle. So they've made that trip from Lubbock to Panhandle multiple times. And we typically will just gather at the Church of Christ there in their family center. And then so that we'll, kind of just have everybody together in that one spot. Um, and so they had left Lubbock, on a normal, regular time that morning and come for lunch, for our Thanksgiving lunch. And, we enjoyed the visit and just had some time with family. Nothing seemed really, particularly off kilter with them. Although we hadn't seen them, I personally hadn't seen them in 2 years. Because, just based on life events, I didn't see them last year. And so, anyway, so nothing really particularly seemed off. I mean, she seemed a little more tired, but she's, kind of a caregiver as well. So, of course, she's going to be tired. Um, anyway, we, ate lunch and had some fellowship, took some pictures, visited, and then they were planning to leave to go back to Lubbock by 3 o'clock so that they would have plenty of time to get back to Lubbock before dark. I mean, that was one of, we want to get back before dark. We don't like to drive in the dark. They're in
Hmm.
their 80s.
Hmm.
Um, and then, so, they left on, we said our goodbyes. They took a little to go plate and, you know, and their dessert and got back in their car to go home. And then it was later that evening, we were about probably 6:30, 6:30 or 7, somewhere in there. We were texting her phone, "Hey, did you make it? We didn't hear back from that you made it home." And their son, who was in Lubbock, saw the phone was still there in Lubbock and got the text, and then called and said they haven't made it back yet. And then he was originally, I guess, gonna come with them. He has some health problems himself and was unable to make that trip on that day. But we didn't really have any inkling that they would not know their route,
Yeah, of
or know how to
course.
go.
Hmm.
Um, so then, obviously we got very concerned and we're like, well, okay, how long do you wait? When do you
Hmm.
report it, kind of
Hmm.
thing. So we went ahead and reported it that evening that they didn't make it home. Um, and we did, we just didn't hear anything from them. But the Carson County Sheriff's Department and Panhandle Police Department had started working that case and taking a look at it.
Yes.
Um, checking their cameras, checking the things, and then I was trying to think. The next day, Friday, their son did drive all the way up from Lubbock to Panhandle and back just to
Hmm.
look at the route that they would have been going
Yeah, of course.
and see if he could see anything or find anything. And as we started working through the police departments and law enforcement, it, you know, pieces of information were trickling in,
Hmm. Hmm.
about like, well, we thought we had a camera ping in Groom. What, and so we were like, well, what the heck would they be doing going to
Hmm.
Groom? It's not on the route. Then we had a camera ping in San Juan, New Mexico. Okay, well, that's odd. So we're
Hmm.
just all the whole time really just trying to piece together pieces of information. Um, and none of it was really making sense at that point,
Yes. Yeah,
you know.
completely.
So
Yes, yes.
we started to get obviously more and more concerned, and getting more and more, you know, law enforcement. Can we get a silver alert? Let's get Toyota involved. And Toyota was trying to track their car, but they couldn't get a hit on their car. So
Mhm.
we had, kind of all the appropriate mechanisms going,
Yeah, of
but
course.
couldn't get any kind of signal, could not get a hit. And then after a certain point on, I guess after a certain point on Friday, just nothing, just
Yeah.
no pings, no nothing, no sightings, no nothing.
Mhm.
And so we think that at that point, it was Friday, some point that they were off the road and, apparently off the road through a fence and into some
Mhm.
trees in
Yes.
outside of Tucumcari,
Yes.
which was completely really not on our radar for like why they would be there. So that was the sad thing, was we just kind of knew, um, increasing concern over the weekend. And then, we were doing everything we could. We went out looking as well. Um, Several of us drove different routes in and of through New Mexico and back around. Didn't see anything. Yeah, so we just had to work through law enforcement. We started, making some plans on our own to go
Mhm.
do some looking, but it's like a shot in the dark trying to
Yeah.
figure it out,
Yeah,
without,
exactly.
yeah. So,
And so we know that y'all receive those thousands of tips from all
yes,
over surrounding states. So some of the things we've heard, which there are tons of older couples traveling, especially during the holidays,
right.
but
Hmm.
that maybe a store clerk thought she saw them there in Panhandle the day before Thanksgiving, but you are confirming they didn't drive
No, they
up
did
there
not
until
drive up
Thanksgiving
until
Day.
Thanksgiving morning. Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes,
Awesome.
Thanksgiving morning. Yeah, there was a lot of, after the story got out and we,
Hmm.
it really hit the airwaves, so to speak. Then, I mean, there was, yeah, a lot. Oh, I think I saw this guy in Silverton. And
Hmm.
I was like, well, that would really, really be out of the way. And we just felt like we were kind of chasing leads at that point. Somebody thought they had seen them up by Bernalillo, which is up towards Santa Fe.
Yes.
um that was again just wildly not, not where we thought. Somebody thought they saw him outside of Hobbs, New Mexico, which was
Mhm.
again, so we were just kind of scattershot on trying to find, leads that were credible, and we didn't want to, discount anything,
Exactly.
um because we didn't really know. But I was, we also were using, like, okay, well, if they were in their car would be pinging. It has GPS, right?
Yes.
I mean, if they were officially driving, if they were in a restaurant, they would be using credit card, cash, money, bank, something,
Mhm.
so we
Mhm.
were following those kinds of leads as well. Um, and just we're not getting any kind of hit on anything.
Yeah.
So that was where it was starting to really get, more concerning. And we
Mhm.
had really hoped, we'd have hoped beyond hope that there was a better outcome,
Yes, of
than
course.
what we had. But we kind of knew by Saturday, Sunday that there was just nothing out there,
Mhm.
no hits, no nothing. And we were glad that there wasn't anything nefarious. I mean,
Yes.
that was one of our concerns as well.
Mhm.
What if something had happened to them? Um, and so we were, pleased that we were able to get closure, that they were found. There was no, malicious behavior or
Mhm.
anything like that. It was a tragic, you know, accident
Yes.
and a tragic situation that they found themselves in and we found ourselves in.
Yes.
um and that kind of thing. So that's really kind of where we had stood from the family. And I know law enforcement was working all those leads as well, and they were working with the Texas Rangers, and the Texas Rangers were working with the New Mexico State Police, um, and Clay County sheriffs, and you know everybody was
Mhm.
really coordinated on their efforts. And we were just really um, I guess, heartwarmed, I guess, encouraged by all of the outpouring of support
Yes.
and prayers and love that we got from the internet. I mean, those things can go kind of one way or the other, but
Yes, ma'am.
we were, uh, it was amazing how many people were
Mhm.
actually trying to help us and looking and doing everything that they could, to support
Yeah.
us. So,
And so I guess at this point, have y'all heard anything else yet from investigators or anything as far as like their timeline of being out there?
no, I don't know the details there. I know
Yeah.
that their son had spoken to the medical examiner, in that all he basically told me was that everything was tracking with what they had originally thought,
Yes.
meaning that they had died of hypothermia.
Mhm.
Um, and I, this is maybe just too much information, but they were found outside the car.
Yes. Why we
Um,
we did know that from Quay County.
yeah, I I don't know why they wouldn't have gotten back in the car,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
so anyway, that I can't speak to because we weren't any of us
Yes.
there, but we are I'm making some assumptions here that maybe it was, um, either Friday night into Saturday morning,
Yeah.
or even it could have been, by Friday evening or something
Mhm.
around those lines that,
Mhm.
um, you know,
Yes.
that's the only, and I don't even know, I could text my cousin and see if there was what they determined was I don't know if they were gonna determine date of death based on what they thought their timeline was, or if
Yeah.
it was based on when they were found.
Yes.
So I'll take a look at that. I
Okay.
don't actually know,
Yeah, no, I
what
understand.
he said. He just said that there wasn't anything new other than they felt like that they had, passive hypothermia.
Okay. Okay, well, I
Yep.
appreciate that. And I
So,
guess my next question is, what were your kind of first initial thoughts, like emotions and feeling when y'all did receive the call that, they were found?
um, oh man, we were just devastated. I mean, I think we all had hoped for a miracle, even though in our
Mhm.
minds we knew, it was not looking good. But it was really devastating to get that call and to just realize that they were found. That was a bit of a relief that we know they were found and that we know there wasn't anything, malicious or nefarious going on. Um, but that, yeah, we just, everybody really just wished we could go back in time and
Mhm.
fix it or
Yeah.
change
Mhm.
something, but we can't. But yeah, so that our biggest emotion was, really just kind of just I don't know, um, the immediate sadness
Yeah.
of their loss, and that we just felt so bad that we couldn't have found them earlier, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but also a bit of a relief that we did get closure that they were found, that,
Mhm.
um, we we knew kind of what had happened at that point.
Yes, yes. And so, you said Linda was sort of, she was a caretaker. And so was she a caretaker for her husband and her son? And I mean, as far as as the family, like you said, that was the first time you'd seen them in 2 years. They are in their 80s. Did we know of any like prior health conditions that kind of could have attributed to
No,
this?
I sure did not. We did not know any, that she was having any issues at all
Hmm.
on, being confused or, not being able to navigate a route that she's driven many, many
Hmm.
times. Her husband was in, semi poor health. I mean, I was going to say she's a caretaker, meaning he neither her son or her husband are, you know, um, invalid, but they both require some care,
Yes.
and she was sort of the primary person in the house to take care of everything.
Hmm.
Um, and they were son and husband, able to, get
Yes.
around and, you know, feed themselves, clothe themselves, do the
Yeah.
things, but she's kind of got to hold everything together.
Hmm.
Right. And so she's probably, my thinking she's putting herself last.
Mhm.
And even if she was getting confused, probably wasn't letting anybody know.
But,
Yeah, we really don't know. I mean, we had no indication that there
mhm.
was any issues at all,
Yes.
um, other than age, obviously,
Yeah.
just but, um, that still is many other people older that still get around just fine,
Yes.
no problem.
Yes.
And, I mean, I don't think they knew how to use the navigation in their
Yeah.
car and,
Mhm.
the technology side of it and the phone and,
Yes.
dealing with. I will say this, that I hope, I really do appreciate everything that the law enforcement did.
Mm.
And if anything um could come out of this, what I would like to come out of it, which again I don't have any control over, but I would like to see them um be more, I guess, cognizant of elderly people on the road, or if they have a stop, or if they have a indication that there's they might not have a phone, or they don't know how to use their, or they're lost, that they you know I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, just mm, I guess that goes for everybody. Just
Just
um
awareness.
awareness. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so, one other question I have, which is based off what you said, this is going to be a pretty obvious answer. But as far as y'all know, they didn't have like any other trips planned because from what we've heard, Gary only had his like days worth of oxygen
Yeah,
take or
no.
something along
No, they
those
did not.
lines. So
No,
yeah.
they were coming up and back same day. No plans. He just had the, yeah, literally 1 day some oxygen with
Mhm.
him. Um, you know, tiny bit of cash, for
Yeah.
miscellaneous stuff. But yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. And that's a
Yes.
typical, I mean, they're really kind of stay around home people.
Yeah.
They don't go, 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 and they're not travelers, really.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. And then I believe it was Panhandle who said that on their way from Lubbock to Panhandle, they might have accidentally taken a wrong path at some point, but then eventually made it there. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Okay.
They were late getting there, but
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't hear anybody say that they had any issues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they kind of arrived a little bit later than we were expecting, but I don't
Hmm.
know any details there.
Yeah. And about how long did were they there in Panhandle with y'all?
Oh, about 3 hours.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So about, the time that people spend for Thanksgiving with their
Yeah,
family.
yeah,
So,
we just had lunch, and they don't drink alcohol. There was no,
hmm,
we were at the church, and
yeah.
just had a family dinner, and then they were about, took some pictures, and then they were ready to get on their way.
Yeah.
And the intent was to get home before dark.
Yes. Yes.
So
Mhm. Okay. Well, is there anything else, Barbara, that you would like to say about Gary or Linda or anything to do with the investigation as a whole?
no, I think that the law enforcement handled it as best they could as well. There's protocols and procedures they have
Hmm.
to follow, and I think they did everything they could um, to find them. And we were all, we had the word out as soon as we could. So I don't really think, from an investigation perspective, I think we've just got the utmost
Hmm.
respect for law enforcement, and just they were good people. They were
Hmm.
genuine, loving people, and I had really good hearts. So I really can't say any more than that, other than they were just really amazing folks.
Yeah.
And he had a background in law enforcement,
Yes.
so
Hmm.
um, the other thing that I guess I would say, and just it's been, we've had this conversation within our family multiple times, is all of us need to be more prepared for the future. Like, all of us need to be, you know, make sure you know where your documents are. Make sure you've got a phone on you. Make sure you're got locations on people. Um, Things that we can do within our families to keep each other safe. So we've been we've been discussing that, and making sure that we know,
Yeah.
being a little more prepared when we travel, knowing where people are going, make sure you check in.